Hey, married couple.
What's up, husbands and wives?
Listen, we want to speak life to you, and today we're going to speak life to you in kind of a different way.
Yeah, it's very different for us. So usually we are providing marriage tips or different things that have helped us along the way in our marriage. You know, sometimes we get these questions and different things. And so that's what we want to do today. Answer some of the questions, okay? And we're not saying that this is the answer, but these are the answers that have blessed us or what we believe that God has said to us. Right?
Yeah.
You ready? He's going to answer. Are you ready?
Let's go. Now, I don't know the questions in advance, so fresh off the top. This is like live, so fresh off the top.
This is live. Okay. Question number 1. What keeps a married couple together?
Wow, what keeps a married couple together? First, I would say a mindset. Like, you got to have a mind to stay together.
Yeah.
You have to have a mind to say, we're going to stay together no matter what. Now, of course, there are circumstances that could happen, but for us, it was a mindset.
Yeah.
It was a mindset that says, we're not leaving each other. Yeah. Nothing you can do is going to make me want to leave you. Nothing I can do is going to make you want to leave me. Meaning now, I'm going to make up my mind also to not put myself in a position
That's good.
for you to want to leave. You don't want to leave me. And I don't care what you do. Mindset is we're going to be together. Now, because our mindset is there, what are we going to do to make sure that we make that a reality?
I like that.
All the time. Yeah. Now, then you asked the question, you said, what keeps a married couple together? Yeah. I want to ask that question or answer that question with the question, and that is, who keeps a marriage together?
Yes.
So we talk about the what, and the what is the mindset and the heart. But now you say who, and I say Christ.
Yeah.
Christ is the definition of marriage. I'm going to say it just like that. Again, fresh off the top. Christ, I believe, is who keeps the marriage together. Now, of course, it takes two of you, but we have to agree that the number one issue, as we've heard said on Marriage Today, number one issue in marriage is Jesus. We both have to have an understanding of who Jesus is and who Christ is in our marriage. And again, have that mindset to want to do marriage the Christ way and stay together.
I love that. And I love how you said who, because that's Christ. And sometimes I've experienced where sometimes couples, they are together, but they're miserable behind closed doors.
Okay, that's good.
You know, they're miserable. And it's like, what's really holding us together? The kids, the security, insurance, you know, those different dynamics. But when you talk about the who does it, then that kind of leads me to the second question that was asked, and that is, what makes a marriage perfect?
Okay.
Because we understand that things happen in marriage, you know, and there's sometimes, like you said, people just leave just to leave, you know, but the who keeps them together. So what makes a marriage perfect?
Okay, I want to hear your answer this time.
Oh, you flipped it on me. Okay. So when we hear the word perfect, the number one thing we hear, especially coming up even now, nobody's perfect, or you can't judge me, you're not perfect, you this, you that. But when we think about perfection, I think about the word maturity.
Yeah, I like that.
I think about the word maturity. So what makes a marriage perfect? While there may be things that happen in our marriage, or, you know, things don't always work the way that you expect them to, different outcomes, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. And while the marriage as a whole might not be perfect, there are perfect areas in your marriage. So when we think of perfect, I think of maturity or spotless, blameless. Yeah. And there are areas in our marriage that other people have experienced that we haven't. We're perfect in that area. Yeah. And so I think Bishop Jakes or somebody preached a while ago, like the 80-20 thing, you know? And so sometimes if you're not perfect in everything, you know, it's like, forget the little thing that you did that was good. Yeah. So I think more than what makes the marriage as a whole perfect, I think the question is, what areas are we good at? What areas are we perfect in? And in the areas that we are not, like, what's the goal? What's the desire to get to that area of perfection?
I like that. I think about development. I think about the power of investing in your marriage so that you can become mature in an area and you build on your strengths. And so if you're good in an area, then celebrate that, highlight that, build on that. And while you're building on that, you also have a spirit, an atmosphere of joy. And you also have strength to work on the weaknesses, to work on the areas that may not be damaging your marriage, but if not attended to, possibly could if you don't give focus to them. But while you're addressing those areas, don't forget to realize that we're great than we are not so good. Yeah. We have better things going for us than we realize. I like that. I like the development piece. I like the maturity piece of perfection. You can be perfect
Yes.
in many areas in your marriage.
You can. You really can. So question number 3. What's a major difference, or what's the major difference between happiness and joy in marriage?
Okay.
So
Wow.
I guess we hear people saying like, "Oh, I'm happy, happy, happy." And it's like, ain't that happy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I've heard somebody say that about us, like,
Yeah.
you need to keep your marriage off of social media because everything can't be all that good. So
Yeah.
what's the difference between
Yeah.
happiness
Yeah.
and joy in marriage?
I just think, especially in the season that we're in now, you gotta be able to find the joy in anything you possibly can when it comes to your marriage.
Yeah.
This season is so dark. The season is so tough. I'm really speaking relative to what we're going through right now. It's so tough that if you don't find the joy in your marriage, it's going to be hard for you to be happy in any area of your life, marriage, work, parenting, or just with yourself, because around you is so much darkness, around you is so much sadness, so much grief, so much death, that you're going to have to generate that joy and happiness within your marriage. So the difference, okay, happiness to me is more emotional in a sense. Happiness to me is more of a reaction to an external event or something that triggered an emotion of happiness to you. And sometimes that doesn't last as long as, watch this, joy. Joy to me is like a fruit of the spirit.
Yes,
you know what I
it
mean?
is.
Well, it is a fruit of the spirit, but joy to me is something that is spirit driven. Meaning no matter if I'm happy or not, I can still have joy.
Yes.
Even when I'm sad, I can have joy, because joy is not something that can be dictated by what I see or by what I feel, but it's dictated by what I believe, what I believe about my marriage, what I believe about you, even when I may not agree with something you may have done.
That's right.
I'm not going to label you by an act that maybe you did something that was wrong, or something you did that I perceived as wrong that wasn't wrong at all. But joy allows me to be able to see the future happiness when I can't experience the present happiness.
That's good. And one of my favorite scriptures, I'm talking about, I stand on this like all the time. The joy of the Lord is truly my strength.
There's strength there now.
The joy of the Lord is truly my strength. And
Yeah.
so I love how that breakdown of the happiness and the joy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can have joy even in the midst of a storm.
Yeah.
You know, because the strength of the Lord provides joy, which means kind of leads to having hope.
Right, like how many times like you may go to, especially a very spirited homegoing service for a loved one, and you're not happy that the loved one is gone,
right?
But you find joy in the hope of what your faith may be about where your loved one is, or the freedom from pain you say your loved one may now be experiencing, or just the memories that you had of the loved one you've been with. It's so many times you can have memories, even when you're married. Let's not be so morbid now. Let's talk about life in your marriage. There may be something in your marriage that died, or something in your marriage that no longer exists that you wish existed. But what you do know exists is the marriage.
That's right.
You're alive, your spouse is alive.
That's right.
That means there is room, that means there is hope.
Yes.
And with that hope, you can have the joy of knowing that it's going to be better.
Yes.
And if you know it's going to be better, go and accept the better right now.
That's right.
Have it before you have it. See it before you see it. That's why we talk about speaking life so much.
Yes.
Come on, y'all. Protect that joy too. Protect that joy.
I love it. I love it. And so that kind of leads to the last question, question 4. I mean, he really has no clue what the questions are, guys.
No.
But it's so perfectly set up. Question 4. Should couples go through marriage counseling? Or why is it necessary? If you believe that they should, why is it necessary for marriage counseling? So I think you kind of know how I feel about the whole counseling word.
What do you think?
I think, and you say this in your book about people needed, we kind of hanging on to people about what they're doing, and we running for, the concerts and different things, and more than concerts, what they really needed was counseling. But in this sense of marriage, I think sometimes when we're talking about counseling, as soon as somebody hears that word, they think, ain't nothing wrong with me. It's like, I ain't a tiger type of stuff. We're gonna fight. Yeah.
You heard that?
No, it's like, you want to fight. Because you hear, as soon as you hear the word counseling, you think someone is saying something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
And so we strongly believe, both of us strongly believe in premarital counseling. Like, I believe that is necessary. I don't care how long you've been with someone.
Yeah.
When you talk about getting married in the next step, then premarital counseling it is. Because things change.
Yeah.
It's more than the signing of the paper. Like, you are like really two lives coming together, and things change. And so the attack changes also.
Wow.
So I believe in premarital counseling. Now, so when I look at the word counseling, it really is like reaching out to someone else to help you in a place where you cannot help yourself.
Right.
So I believe in premarital counseling, but I think beyond the premarital counseling, beyond the ceremony, I believe that couples should always do other marriage investments.
Yeah.
So even if we're not going to a counselor, I definitely believe we need to be in a seminar.
Yeah.
We need to be in workshops.
Yeah.
We need to be at retreats.
Yeah.
We need to be invested in our marriage. Fun, having a great time, but also like feeding ourselves.
Right.
Because I believe that whatever you don't feed, it'll starve. It would die. If we don't eat, we'll be malnourished. Like we would not function right. So I believe the same is true for our marriages. If we don't feed it with something, let me not say something, but if we don't feed it with the right help and the right stuff, then we will not function right. And when things come and when things happen, you'll be like, put your dukes up type thing, ready to fight, because you haven't been invested in those areas.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if counseling is the word that I would use beyond it. But if you are in a place where you need help, I do think you should get counseling and be okay with that.
That's true.
do think that.
That's true. John Maxwell says to starve your fear. He says, starve your fear and feed your faith. Starve your fears, feed your faith. And to me, I believe when you feed your faith, you starve your fear. I believe that. And so you feed your marriage. And I think counseling is just a way of feeding. And of course, there are levels to counseling. Just like in education, we have different types of intervention. You have tier 1 intervention. You have tier 2 intervention. You have tier 3 intervention. Tier 1 intervention is that normal intervention just to make sure that you don't lose ground in areas. You may not be strong in so many areas, but it's not bad enough where it can't be salvaged. Tier 2 intervention is like, okay, you need some more one-on-one. Tier 1 is more basic, but tier 2 level is more of a level where you're like, okay, you need a little bit more of a focus, all right? It's not super bad, but it can get there if we don't take a moment, step aside, get some little small group instruction or something support. Tier 3 is intensive.
That's good.
It's like ICU in a sense. It's intensive care. And so I believe there's certain counseling that can be more intensive, some that can be a little bit more moderately challenging to support an area that needs more development. And then you have tier 1 that can be just a little more basic. This would be like tier 1 right now. What we're doing on video is like a basic level of advisory counseling that we put in our marriage often to be able to strengthen the foundation. Because if you don't strengthen your foundation, if you ignore it, then it could hurt. It could hurt you and it could hurt people around you. There's an influence on your marriage that you don't even know you have.
That's good.
And I believe that the more you invest into it, the more you'll realize the greatness that is in your marriage. Listen, we enjoyed this time again of just off the top. We'll do it live one day, just off the top. We love speaking life to you. We're here to speak life to your marriage.
Speak life in your marriage and speak life over your marriage. Love you guys.
Stay encouraged.
Yes.